When you begin to understand how money works, you allow yourself to open up unlimited possibilities of capitalizing on the three ingredients of wealth creation, one of which is time. And so we asked this question: at what age did you begin thinking about money seriously? At what age did it click? At what age would you say that you began becoming a financial mutant? And what's wild is almost 60% of our respondents, 58%, said that they got serious about money before age 30, which is great. And I think that's awesome. 60% said in my 20s or earlier, I began to get serious about money, but that's only half the question.
Well, and think about it. You choose your hard. It is, I get it. In your 20s, it is hard to take a single dollar to put it to work because it seems like housing's expensive, cost of fuel is expensive, cars, life is just expensive.
Yep.
But I'm telling you, every dollar has a multiplier, an exponential benefit, and we'll talk more about that. But it is definitely something that is worth the sacrifice in your 20s. But if you're listening to this, because look, it's one thing to focus on the 20-somethings, but it's another to know that statistically, when we look at the typical American, they don't discover personal finance until their 30s.
That's right.
And so I thought it was interesting that if you even looking at our stats, there was 30% of our successful seven-figure clients that didn't discover personal finance. 30% of them were in their 30s. Mm-hmm. So this is, once again, there are opportunities, and we've even 7% that were under 45, mm-hmm. and then going beyond that. You don't have to just give up. It just means that it's going to be a little bit harder on you if you did start later, but it doesn't mean that compounding growth can't work for you as well. And that's why one of the things we try to enable you is we try to give you, if you go to moneyguy.com, we give you tons of tools. If you go to our resource section on the power of compounding interest.
Yeah, it's amazing that if you begin to play with this tool, if you begin to look at what your money can do, it will be that motivating factor to cause you to change the way that you think about your financial decisions. We say this all the time. The absolute best time to figure out money was yesterday, which makes today the second best time. So no matter what age you are, no matter when you're stumbling across this content, if you can start today, you still have the opportunity to positively impact your financial future. So as we were asking our clients, our survey respondents, we said, okay, well, this is all great. This is all wonderful, but let's talk about how you got here, because it's easy. At the end, people always want to ask you, well, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? How'd you do it? And I think what the world thinks is, okay, well, these people, they must have been born into it. Like if you're someone who's financially successful, if you're in the 2 Comma Club, you must have come from a family and you must have had some sort of inheritance. So we asked this question: when you think about your first million, how'd you get there? Like, was it because you had parents that left you money or because you received some inheritance? And what I think is amazing is that if you look at our survey respondents, 76%, 3 out of 4 of our clients received no form of inheritance to be able to reach $1 million.
It is interesting is that, because I want to make sure we're clarifying this, is that 76% received less than $25,000.
I'm sorry, no form of meaningful inheritance.
Yeah,
that's right.
Because it's the thing. Look, 54% said absolutely nothing. I've received nothing. But always when I see stats, I'm like, well, wait a minute, there's probably more. You know, if you receive $10,000, is that what made you rich? Or is it 20? So that's why we put in the clarifier, because I wanted to know. Because, look, we're not the first to ask this question. When I got inspired in the 90s, when I read Millionaire Next Door, mm-hmm. I remember Dr. Stanley and Dr. Danko posted that data that it was 80% of millionaires were first generation. Mm-hmm. And I know when the Ramsey organization has done their research, it's somewhere right under 80%, yep. right in the high 70s. So it's just so affirming to me when I do our own survey of our millionaire clients, and you find out that once again, it is right there around that 80% figure. 76% received less than $25,000. I look at that. Now, look, let me tell you the negative, then I'll give you the positive. It's sad to me that it means that the cycle of wealth creation is that a generation will make it, that it will slowly evaporate mm-hmm. back to regenerative zero within 2 generations. Yep. But if you're somebody who's out there and you're aspirational, this should put the fire within you, is that don't listen to the false mm-hmm. narratives out there that you can't do it. We have an entire client base as well as ourselves. Yep. Both of us come from humble beginnings. And I just want you to know, you, with a little bit of discipline, a little bit of education, and just a lot of gumption that you're going to make your life better, you too can be a financial mutant and be that 7-figure person if you just will put what we're sharing. We're trying to improve every one of these stats with all the content we do. And that's probably a great segue, Bo, into mindset.
Yeah, I think it's great. What you just said is if you have the gumption, if you have the ability to tell yourself that, yes, I can impact my financial future, no matter where I come from, no matter what my background is, you're beginning to exercise the strongest muscle you have, and that's the one that's in your head, between your ears, your mindset that's allowing you to recognize what you can do. And so we asked our clients, okay, when you think about things generally, would you describe yourself as an optimist, someone who thinks that the glass is half full and things are going to improve, or the pessimist, the glass is half empty and things are not going to improve? And not surprisingly, when we look at our client base, when we look at the Abound Wealth family, 81%, 8 out of 10 of our clients would consider themselves optimists. They believe that the future is likely going to be better, things are likely going to work out, and that they have the ability to positively impact what their future looks like.
Yeah, and you compare and contrast that to the general population, and there's all kind of, it changes from year to year, but it's historically, the majority of the U.S. population would describe themselves as pessimists. Mm-hmm. And that makes me sad to see such a disconnect on worldviews and the fact that some see opportunity and others see lots of barriers. And I want to change that. I want you guys to know you can do this. You know, I think two guys coming from humble beginnings, working with an entire client base of people who also have come from humble beginnings and then come out the other side better. You too can do this.